To get your message out to over 2 million homes, call Positive Promotions at 302-292-3994 or log on to our website at PosProTV.com.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, hire that band to come back again. That's all I can say.
I'd say the same thing.
Yeah, good audience. Hi, Miss Sue Frost. How are you?
Very well, thank you.
I haven't seen you since about a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you're the Miss Organizer, we'll just call you.
Okay.
Because but you only organize...
I work mainly with women, and I organize women's homes and small businesses.
Yeah, and when you say that, because we were talking beforehand, I never realized just in garages alone, they organized over $800 million were spent in buying little...
That's a statistic from last year, so it's just an example of $800 million that was just in garage organizing. So
it's not like your closet or your whatever, it's just in the garage.
Now, let's talk about this, because you do women. Is there lost hope for men? Is that...
No, not at all. And I do occasionally work with men, but it's really the women that call me, and I understand their needs. And it's a lot of my clients are what is referred to as the sandwich generation, that they are still taking care of children, they're starting to take care of parents, and either they work in a traditional setting or they work out of their home. And, you know, where do you cut back your priorities? Everything's important.
With the parents.
Because you were telling me that female executives will spend and waste how many hours?
Well, not just female, but executives.
He tried.
Yeah.
He given us
Since you work with females, let's blame it all on them.
Men and women lose 6 weeks a year on average looking for things. That's just trying to retrieve things on your computer or in your filing systems.
So I guess when it comes to organizing today, it's kind of changed from what it used to be, because you just threw in the magic word. There's a computer that's got to be organized, I guess, as well. So.
We're not a paperless society yet, and nowhere close to being that.
Yeah.
In fact, I think people generate more paper because it's easier. You just hit print.
Yeah.
And so does everybody else in the office, so you all have copies of the same document.
Yeah, I just figured it out. You're paying people like 8 weeks vacation then. 6 weeks to find something so they can file for their 2 weeks to leave.
And I help people be more efficient that way.
Yeah, no, you come in, let's talk about home first of all. You come into a home, let's just pretend that Kevin's a female.
It's not a far stretch.
And you come in. How do you get started? I mean, what do you know?
By the time I get to someone's home, we've had a long conversation about why are you calling me? Do you want to be organized? Do you want to be more efficient? I look at their space. Tell me what's working for you, because often something's working, and that looking at what works for the client tells me a lot about them. And then we talk about what's not working.
But what do you mean, what would be working?
Well,
like
let's say I went to your office
shoes?
and or in a home situation. Yeah, maybe their wardrobe is organized. They know where their clothes are. They don't have an abundance. It's neat. It's
You
easy
show me a female alive that's got that. No. But you do, I guess, because if you're in the business, you know, you're probably...
But everybody has their thing, and it's not the same for everyone. So I ask questions and learn, well, what is it that you're trying to do? What are your goals? And we work backwards from that. Whatever their goals are, then we look at everything in the home and say, does this help you achieve what you want, or is this standing between you and your goal?
Yeah, and then taking it outside the home into a business, because a business, I can see where a lot more organization would be needed as far as, you know, filing, then you got your computers, you got your scheduling. You know, where do you begin? Same thing? I mean, just sit down, chit-chat, and find out.
Start with the same questions, and then I determine from what they've told me where we should start.
So you'd have to start with Tim, though, not to interrupt you. You'd have to find out what it is that he wants from the company, and then figure out how to organize every other individual to meet that expectation. And
if an employee of a company contacted me, then I would take into consideration, well, what are your the goals that you have? What are the objectives? of the company so that we're
So
sure
that's
to
what we're
meet
missing,
those
goals and
goals.
objectives.
Dang it.
Helpful.
So that you've got to have those first.
That would help.
That's I mean, our whole problem. You just solved our complete. We don't need you anymore. So, no,
Okay.
Thank
no,
you.
My
but-
work is done.
but when you're coming in, I guess you find those goals and objectives. Or you're not trying to teach them how to achieve those, I guess, or just.
I'm helping them and by way of organization to achieve those. There's what's called the Pareto principle. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, the 80-20 rule, that 80% of our results are typically from 20% of our efforts. So if we can look at the way we spend our workday and what is used productively versus what eats our time, can those things be eliminated altogether? Can those things be delegated to somebody else? Imagine how much more productive the
How do
average
you
person.
delegate somebody watching the television show that Kevin wants to watch instead of doing what he's supposed to do?
That's true.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't
you
think
have
there's a
to
plan
set
in your
down
pimento loaf for that.
expectations.
But that's is there motivation? I mean, when you come in, say you come in for somebody like me and you want to organize, and we can lay out what we think is good, but get the other people involved with that. I mean, is there motivational into that, or?
Sure. Well, and by the time I leave the first session, I want to have completed enough work that whoever's hired me feels like I see the difference, and that serves as motivation. So that has to do with what length of time I'll spend with someone. I won't go and work with someone for an hour unless it's coaching. If it's really an organizing session, I'll meet with them for 3 or 4 hours. So when I walk away, we've done enough that they say, hey, this is going to be easier. I see it. And that's what I use to motivate people. But most of the people that call me, their motivation is there. They've said, okay, I know what I'm good at, and I know what I'm not good at. So can you help me with this?
And then you go to work doing your thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and once again, I want to be sure, people, because we reach New Jersey and Philadelphia, Delaware, you're available throughout that entire marketplace.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and people can contact you personally and have them come in and sit down and chit chat with you and all the whole works.
You should have an online survey, like for people to fill out, and then you can decide whether or not they're worth it and save some time.
Whether or not they're worth it.
I see. Now, personally, I would not try to help me at all. I would have trick questions
Everybody's
in your
worth
survey.
it.
Nope, he's just not helpful.
No.
Move aside.
Well, they just did an article and just came out in Delaware Today magazine.
This month.
One of it's coming out next.
This month, it's out in November.
It's out on the streets
And
right
people
now.
can contact me by my website.
Yeah. Now, what's the article about? I mean, as far as-
It's about organizing and also by way of time, organizing your time.
yeah. So, which is the most important thing. If you get that all.
Yeah, I mean, the space often needs to be organized when someone calls me into their home, but then when things are in their place, when we talk about maintaining, we talk a lot about scheduling and scheduling time to keep your home the way you want it.
I bet the magazine didn't ask you half the questions we have they?
Probably not. You're tougher.
She might not ever give us the opportunity to ask these questions again. Now, you mainly do the females, but you will work with the men as well, And do you find them more resistant to it, or?
I really can't say whether men are more resistant. I think typically by the time people call me, they're ready.
They're ready?
Sometimes it's a process for people, and it's hard to give up sometimes.
What if they're not ready and I call you for my wife?
Oh, geez, there's trouble there.
Yeah,
I'm doing this for Kevin's sake, not for mine.
I couldn't ask you that.
Mine's perfectly organized.
I'm asking for a friend. Right?
That's right. I have a friend whose wife is just a nightmare.
The person needs to want to be organized.
That's what I was going to say. So it's something that they definitely need to want to be able to do again. Sue, it's always fun to have you down and chit chat about
Thank you.
organizing, and it hasn't worked yet, but maybe.
But I'm working on it.
Maybe 2 more visits we'll get through to Kevin and make a phone call.
My desk
to you.
is clear.
Yeah, the trash can.
I shut it off
Anytime you're ready.
So we got more coming your way right after this.
Thank you.
To find out more about the Tim Qualls Show and other Positive Promotion productions, then log on to our website at www.posprotv.com.